And now, Gumption TV presents... Hello, thank you all for joining us on this exciting episode of Storytime with Unky Judas. Yeah, it's been a minute since we've done this, and I actually had somebody request a particular story that they've heard me tell, some time ago, and they wanted to hear it again. So we're going to tell that story, the story of how I got to meet Dax Riggs. Well, let me back up. If you haven't forgotten, anyone that might have been paying attention to this series, the objective was to beat Donkey Kong Country and make it all the way through and see if I had enough drug stories, which I know I do, to make it all the way through that game, which I believe we are in the ice mountains right now. So we'll see how far we get and see if we can actually cram more than one story into this session here. So this isn't exactly a drug-related story. It kind of is. These are actually a series of stories of different, I guess, celebrities that I've had the privilege of meeting and, people that I have always looked up to kind of as musicians. And yes, they are kind of drug-related. They're at least weed-related. Because let me tell you one thing before we get into this, folks. If you want a backstage pass to any concert, if you want to meet one of your favorite musicians, bring some weed.
Huh?
I'm serious.
Unethical life pro tip 101.
That's how I've gotten in. Of course, things have kind of changed. A lot of these stories happened quite some time ago. And we're going to try and leave people's names, their real names out to try and not be too incriminating. We have Mud the Mustard Pit as our special guest here tonight.
Well, there's Mud Mustard and Mud Mustard's Pit.
Okay, I guess your pit isn't going to be talking tonight.
Probably not.
All right. So...
It is a void.
Why don't you tell us what made you just... We were at a party and you're just all of a sudden like, ooh, tell this story.
I often come across random humans, and whether or not I know them, will ask them to tell me a story, and they never can tell me a story. And I suddenly just remembered that I heard this story about Dax Riggs once, and he's a favorite author of mine, artist of mine. Who the fuck is this guy?
He's probably written a book or two. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him. Dax Riggs, folks. He's one of my favorite musicians, one of my favorite vocalists, lyricists, and yours too, I presume.
Indeed.
So, the story of how I got to meet Dax Riggs. A band of his called Dead Boy and the Elephant Men was coming to concert long after we had heard. Me and my friends were very avid fans of not just Acid Bath, but all of his other projects. And Dead Boy and the Elephant Man had this album that came out. It was very obscure and hard to get a hold of for the longest time. And now it's been re-released just under the name Dax Riggs. It's called If This Is Hell, Then I'm Lucky. So if you got the original one and it actually has the Dead Boy and the Elephant Man logo on it, I assume that's probably worth something. It should be.
Ouch.
Because now it's been re-released and it just has Dax Riggs' name on it. Personally, that's still probably my favorite album he's ever released. So, we saw in the back of a Slug magazine that Dead Boy and the Elephant Man was coming to concert, and we hadn't heard any recent news out of Dax or any of his projects in, ever. We never heard of any of his projects ever coming to Utah. And we didn't think that Dead Boy was playing. We thought he just kind of put out that one album and that was it. So it was kind of a BFD when we saw this shit. So everyone freaked the fuck out. And of course, we all pile into Club Sound, I believe is where it was at, if you've ever been there. Now the place has been bulldozed. But it was connected to bricks and... What the fuck? In the venue... They were all kind of interconnected.
The hippies probably took over.
So anywho, this place has been destroyed now.
By hippies.
But for all you kids out there listening, you remember Club Sound, don't you? Yeah, you do. So
They're hippies now too.
we're gonna edit in a bunch of kids cheering later. Sometimes we edit these episodes. So, anyways, we go to this show, and we thought they were gonna be the headlining act because fuck, everybody knows Dax Riggs. And no, actually, this band called Wolf Mother was the headliner. We never heard of them.
Turns out nobody knows Dax Riggs.
Not as many people as you would think. I mean,
You think he's going to be huge, and you actually look at the numbers, and it's...
Yeah, he's gotten more
mind-blowing.
acclaim since then. This was, clear back in, I would say, like, 2000... I don't know, maybe
Sure
2004,
2.
2005 maybe. Either way, it was a good long fucking time ago, about 15 years ago. So these guys open, and this is a no re-entry show, and we see them going out the side door, and we're just like, shit, let's follow them, because we don't know who Wolf Mother is, and they're still playing shows here and there, and I still am just like, who the fuck is Wolf Mother?
Also, probably hippies.
Damn, hippies.
It sounds like hippies.
They should work
Wolf
for
Mother,
the city.
yeah, fucking hippies.
Yeah. So anyway, and they keep getting all these really good gigs with other really good bands. They toured with Primus, just barely, actually. They might have even been that band that was playing when we got there.
What?
You know, the band that
No
wasn't...
wonder I didn't notice.
The band that wasn't Battles? Yeah.
I don't know. I
No,
wasn't
I think-
paying any attention until I heard bass.
Yeah, I think that...
I mean, like a real bass for all you new kids, like grandpa's guitars.
Yeah, they're really good with grandpa's
It's like,
guitars.
you know, like an actual.
We'll get to the
instrument.
Primus show later, though. That's another story. So we follow Dax out the side door, and he kind of gets lost in the multitude for a second, and all of our friends sort of congregate in a little circle out on the sidewalk, and the people I'm hanging out with, they're a bunch of dirt heads, and they worship the dirt that Dax Riggs walks on. I've always been a fan and everything, but these guys just idolize this guy. And
terrifying.
they all see him walking, kind of pacing back and forth, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 feet further down the sidewalk, and they're like, oh my God, that's him. Oh my God, that's Dax. That's him. What do we do? What do we do? Fuck, shit, you know. And
Quick, fix my hair.
yeah, everyone's just kind of like brushing up a little bit.
Okay.
And he's on the cell phone, and this is back when not everybody had cell phones either, so we're like, yeah, he's got a fucking cell phone. And of course he'd have a fucking cell phone. You know, and he puts his cell phone away and slowly, you know, just with his hands in his pockets, just slinks up to our group. Like he belonged in our circle kind of thing. And everyone just sort of like moves and makes way for him to join our circle, and he just like looks around with his hands in his pockets like, "Sup, guys?" He had like a higher pitched voice than you'd expect, and he's, you know, kind of timid, like not at all the demeanor you would expect when you're listening to his music, especially Acid Bath. It's like, Jesus. But yeah, really cool, friendly dude, and we're just like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Oh, actually, I'm just looking for some weed." And we all just look at each other. And we're not from Salt Lake. Some of the people in our circle have moved up to Salt Lake, and so they know some people. So immediately, anyone with a cell phone is grabbing for their fucking phone, like, "We gotta find Dax some fucking weed now." And we called, I can't remember which one of our friends, who also loves Dax and didn't make it to the show, are like, "We've got him standing right in front of us. Do you know where to get any fucking weed?" And they're like, "Yes, I do. I'll be down there in 10 minutes. So we got to keep this guy occupied for, you know, a good, like, until they can get down here. So my buddy, we're going to call him Rudiger. I think you know who I'm talking about. Anyways, he had just gotten this new tattoo, and it had this lady in the center. It was on his side from his hip all the way up to, like, his side nip. And it had, like, the moon cycles and stuff going all the way around this woman.
Fucking hippies.
And, yeah, he does tattoos now. I don't think he was doing tattoos at the time, though. But it was a brand new tattoo. And if you hung out with this guy as much as I did, you had heard him explain this tattoo to, like, every newcomer who walks through the door. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
You've seen him show off this tattoo to, like, everybody. Over and over and over again. And so Dax is standing in between me and old Rudiger here. And so Rudiger, realizing that we have got to bide some time, what the fuck do you think is the first thing is his go-to that has been his subject of conversation for the last, well, ever since he got his tattoo? His fucking tattoo. So he pulls up his shirt and he's like, oh, check this out. And starts realizing that Dax has no idea who he is and doesn't give a shit about his new tattoo. Like one of his friends would, but Dax isn't his friend. And so you could see in like mid-conversation, when I've seen him have this conversation so many times before, him realizing as he's speaking that he can't keep this conversation going the way that it normally would. So he has to start redirecting it so that some way Dax is going to still be interested.
Shit, I'm full of shit. What do I do?
And understand, why the fuck are you showing me this tattoo? So, to dig himself even deeper, he starts trying to explain how this tattoo has to do with Dax's fucking music. And he starts, like, explaining the moon cycles, how like, every moon cycle represented one of his favorite fucking songs or some shit. Like, just getting more and more deep in his own shit. And I'm just, like, watching him just swim in it. You know? Until he's about to drown. And I finally throw him a conversational life preserver. And I step in and I'm like, hey, so Dax. And fucking Rudiger's just like, thank you. And I fucking save his ass. I was like, so Dax. I'm like, how do you like Salt Lake? And he's like, yeah, I've never actually been here before, you know. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually not from here. I don't really care for the place all that much. But it is a good place to come and get a hand job from a homeless guy in the back. And he just fucking looks at me like, what? And he starts laughing his fucking ass off. And I just fucking look at him and I'm just like, I made Dax Riggs laugh. And I totally caught him the fuck off guard. And just like how casually I said it. You know, and the whole rest of the group just completely in shock. Just like, I can't believe you just fucking said that. To Dax. And to be perfectly honest, I have no idea what the fuck happened after that. You know, nobody came in and threw me a conversational life preserver. I think we just kept on talking about Salt Lake and how bad it sucked. But anyways, we did wind up finding some weed. And we wound up going into the back.
Where was the homeless man at this point?
That's actually what I brought to his attention, is that the only thing missing was the fucking homeless guy. And of course he cracked up again, which I found to be just very heartwarming because, you know, it's just like, it's Dax.
Somebody laughs at my jokes.
Well, not just that, but it's fucking Dax. That, like, everyone here is just like, oh my God, this is such dark, deep, you know, harrowed individual. And I'm like, he's just another guy, just like everyone else. He's just looking for some fucking weed, guys.
I'm not flattered when anyone laughs at my jokes.
He laughs about homeless guys giving hand jobs just like anybody else, you know? Because it's great. It's great fun.
It's good funny.
Then he ran off with one of our friends and wound up in the downstairs club, and none of us could find him. And, yeah, he got kidnapped for the rest of the evening.
By hippies.
And that was the end of that story. Thank you all for listening. Stay tuned for parts 2 and 3 of Storytime with Unky Judas, celebrities who I have smoked weed with. I probably even have more than that, but we've got a lot of drug stories to tell just during this Donkey Kong quest. Who knows? We might even move on to Donkey Kong 2 and 3. Just depends on how things go. Remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to catch us next time on Storytime with Unky Judas.